purpose of today's video is to talk about planetary ceremonial magic. And basically, it's a system of magic in which we do not use the Hebrew god names, and it's more cosmic, and we use the planetary names. So I'm going to quickly go through it for basics for people that are trying to explain this to other people, and I'll put in all the links because I'm not going to describe the rituals in detail, just show how we use the planetary names for that. And this might be very basic to the people already practicing it. So basically, the tree of life, the Chem, is made up of all the planets in our Milky Way star system, our inner universe. So we have Uranus here at the top for source and beyond of Godhead and Godhood, Saturn, Pluto, Neptune, Jupiter, the Sun, Mars, Mercury, the Moon, Venus, and Earth. And so with what's for the most part out there, although I have seen this version in places, this is more rare, is that they'll put Pluto at the very top because their magic comes from the Cabal or from Transplutonian, Klipothian, basically black lodges. And so Pluto is more like the underworld, so it doesn't really make sense to put it up where the white light and source is, because it's more like the abyss. So Pluto is more like, and the abyss is more like it's like Hades, and it's more like the back door to like the moon and into the earth, which I'm not going to be talking about that. The other reason it makes sense for Uranus to be at the top, because it's like futuristic. It's now rules Aquarius for the next age, and also the symbol of Uranus also looks like a crown, which goes on the head. So it looks like a crown, and then where the third eye should be even, there's like a little thing. Now, although chakras do not fit on this cosmic diagram, I will be talking about it just to explore those concepts. But basically, it's this is like the macrocosm and the microcosm. So this makes up a grand mind, and it's also all the energies that you have within yourself. So you have head or godhood here, arms that go down here, and then legs that are either standing on earth, but actually more realistically, or actually just more accurately, you're actually standing on the moon. That's why the magical clothing associated with the feet and with the moon is silver sandals. So you're standing actually more on the astral when you're doing magic. Okay, but then you can see how you've got like the sphere of Saturn here, you got the sphere of Neptune here, and on your arms and stuff, it doesn't line up with the human body like that. But there are three main ones which links up with three treasures rituals which we have in our tradition, for the people that are watching this that are familiar with that. So today I want to talk about the three main basic rituals in ceremonial magic, which is the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, the middle pillar, and the Kabbalistic cross. So first I'll talk about the banishing ritual of the pentagram. So to draw a banishing ritual of the pentagram, it's just like you would normally just draw a star. And this is, each point has a correspondence. So the top is spirit, and this is earth. And the earth has all four elements already contained within it of air, water, fire, and earth. So basically you're returning those elemental and energies unwanted of a disincarnated energy back to spirit. And this is air, and I think that's water and fire. So you can go around banish each one individually, but you don't need to, because earth contains all four elements. You're just doing a banishing pentagram of earth, basically. Also, the pentagram is also like a giant, it's also like a man, like the Da Vinci's Vitruvian man here. You got two arms, you got a head, and you got two legs. And so the pentagram is mostly associated with Venus and the body, like with Taurus and Earth and stuff like that. But within the pentagram, you also have a pentagon, which is like, you know, the war, more associated with Mars. So the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, usually you go around your circle, usually starting in the east, doing a pentagram and vibrating that associated Yahweh God name, so like Adonai or Eheh or whatever, going around and doing the banishing. Okay, and then some Wiccans will actually go around and then do invoking of each element. But what we do is we draw the pentagram, and actually Venus makes the path of a pentagram in the sky, the green planet. So we would draw a banishing pentagram, and we would stand with our arms open like this in like star pose and vibrate Venus, and we'd stab in the middle with our ritual knife, say Mars, and then continue around the circle. Do that four times. So that's how we do the LBRP in our tradition. We also have another ritual, the Knights of the Round, and each of the Knights of the Tarot are in the associated quarters, which is more invoking, and then what I showed you is more the banishing. Okay. Now you can draw, like I said, well, I haven't said this actually, different symbols on the entire tree itself. So you can have a pentagram here and then a pentagram here, because there's actually 10 planets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10. So that you have basically like the reflection, like when the creator came with self-recognition of consciousness. And so the reverse pentagram isn't necessarily evil, it's more like incarnation, and this is more return to spirit. One is not evil and one is not good. You can just see how that works. And then also on the whole tree, sorry, hope this is not too loud. I'm spraying this on this video. Also, with most ceremonial magic, they will put the hexagram, when they have a hexagram, they will have either Pluto at the point, or they'll draw it up here and have it right in the middle, and it just goes to show also their viewpoint on that. But you can put these symbols will fit on different places in the on the tree, and also the whole tree itself is sort of made up of a hexagonal shape, because our whole world and all our material is given to us by Saturn, the lead of Earth turning into gold. But the hexagram is actually a solar symbol. Okay, now I will talk about the middle pillar ritual. So we have Uranus, Pluto, the Sun, the Moon, and Earth. And why the middle pillar is desirable is because it's very balanced. You have the outer polarities, and don't view it as positive or negative. Just look at it as like wet, dry, hot, cold, dark, light. Don't look at it as good and evil. But you're going to need balance. And the center of our whole universe and ourselves and our solar plexus is the sun. Okay, not only that, but you have the central channel. And so if you're working too much with Mars, then maybe you should be working more with Jupiter. So the whole thing balances out, and there's a positive and a negative to every single planet. Now, the sun is very balancing, but if you find like an overinflated sense of self, because the sun is, that's why I have sun signs, it's about personality and the ego and stuff like that, then you might just want to ground a bit more. But other than that, the sun is like the center, and it's one of the most balancing symbols, which is why I'm making this video, so that I can talk about the solar mysteries and the solar rituals next. Okay, so we're not going to pay attention right now to the outer pillars. We're talking about the middle pillar. So instead of saying the Hebrew God names of like Atah, which means I am or thou art in Hebrew, and then saying Malkuth, which is earth, which I think that's part of the Kabbalistic cross, but instead of vibrating the God, because it's so long since I've done the Hebrew God names, doesn't even matter really for the sense of this video, we would vibrate when we're bringing, we do everything exactly the same, so like growing our energy body and bringing down the light and stuff like that, but instead we would vibrate Uranus, Pluto, Sol for the sun, we don't say sun, we go vibrate Sol, Luna for the moon, and then Terra for earth. And that's when we're doing the middle pillar. So we'll bring down the white light to the head, down all the way through the body, and we would notice like a purpley color for Pluto, gold for the sun. It's sort of like a more muted purple, like a lighter purple for Luna. And then Terra, you could do like a green or a black, sort of like muted color, and then out the other side like into infinity. And you can still do like the circulations of light, like a fountain if you want, which kind of makes like a toric field. And if you're not familiar with the very basic rituals, you can look them up online, or you can get the book Modern Magick by Donald Michael Craig, but he has all the Hebrew names in it, but he just has all the basic stuff. And I also really recommend the book Kabbalistic Tarot by Robert Wang. Has a lot of the good stuff about tarot in it, and you can see in here, I'll just quickly draw a little picture, but so got the planets back on there again. So some people say that like this is Earth, air for Mercury, fire for Venus, and then water for the moon. But actually the moon, Yesod, is actually known as the air. It's actually known more as like air. But then like I said, the pentagram can be drawn on many different places. I'm just showing you like the lower one, but then it also shows like when you have the three pillars, you also have water, air, and fire pillars, because the three first elements in creation were outer spirit, or air, water, and fire, and then they eventually all trickled down into earth to make all four elements in earth, as well as in the four main you have the physical, or earth, you have water, or emotional, then you have air and thought, and then you have spirit up here too. So then you have the four realms, also with elemental correspondences, and it can get like a lot more complex, and I don't want to confuse anybody, but this book goes into a lot, like tarot, like you can see here how that's more like a unicursal, but how like they more can be drawn on the entire tree. And I don't really use like the master symbol and do like the other updated rituals. I mean, I can do it and it's fine, but I just do it like simply and basically before bed, which is kind of a bad thing because you should do it standing up and vibrate these things out loud, to make it more real, more adhere to yourself physically, especially in the beginning when you first start practicing. So I'm going to talk about like how to do it like in the most basic sense for all purposes of this video. Also, I don't know if you can really see it on here, but each path is major arcana, so between Earth and the astrals, the world card, and then each of the spheres are also have numbers, so like 10s and pages is Earth, 4s are Jupiter, aces are Uranus or Godhead, example like that too. So it's really good to know the tarot. So Kabbalistic Tarot, Robert Wang, and also the Rider-Waite deck has the most accurate color scales of the 4 worlds. It's in Bina, it's in Bria, which is the second one, which is in the creative world of thought. And it has the correct numerology and zodiac and stuff like that. So I recommend the Rider-Waite for learning Kabbalah and the tarot because it's very accurate. It's the most accurate deck for that. Now we will talk about the Kabbalistic cross. So draw the tree again. Messed that up. Okay. So the Kabbalistic cross is basically like the Lord's Prayer. And so the cross is a pre-Christian symbol. They use it in Africa as a symbol of their godhead, and I'm not going to say his name, but then there's the Celtic cross of the sun, and then this up here with Uranus is more like a swastika of the whirling unfixed elements, so the elements before they come into being. Another intersection here of energy center, and then here fixed the 4 elements in Earth. I'm going to get into that a little bit more, but that's where the 3 treasures is. Again, I think I'm repeating myself, but it's another ritual that we do for the main energy centers. But the cross is intersection, sort of like Earth and then spirit, and that's why they had like poles, kind of like totem poles. And then I know in Tibetan or Asian practices they have like the North Star, like the North Pole, and that's the North Star is actually how we view Uranus, and as well as Keter is actually the Hebrew name for this, of the white light of the white navigational star up here too, in the middle pole, middle pillar. So this is very balancing the middle pillar again, to have that clean channel, and also with our spine and channeling spirit and bringing it into our energy field. You want a white clean channel. It's balanced, and so that's what this really helps you with. And so also it's like the crossroads of matter and spirit. Okay, crossroads. And then of course female crossroads is more like a Y for like Hecate and stuff like that. It looks more like female genitalia and stuff like that. But and Mercury with, you know, being hermetic, Hermes, and the genital hecaton, Hermes post, and of communication and stuff like that. So it's also solar. The witching hour is viewed as midnight, but these other solar hours are also 6 noon and 6 in the morning and 12 noon. And that's also why in the Golden Dawn they have you in the east greet the morning or whatever. And also do that in yoga with Egyptian sun salutation. Then at noon when it's the highest, west when its sun is setting, and that's why it's like watery zone for like twilight of the gods and ancestors and stuff like that. And then the north of like the cold in the winter and like darkness. And so they have you attuned with like that solar energy, which I'm going to be talking more about in my next video, which is more advanced. And that's also true with like the wheel of the god, with the wheel of the year, the solar year. With Yule, the Norse, they used Celtic and Norse names. So Yule, we already passed Imbolc or Imbolc. Now we're at Astara or Easter, and so that's also a way of attunement. And also, like with Wicca and most Earth religions, you have Earth, you have the moon, so it's more viewed as like female and the goddess and stuff like that. You have the solar god, and then you kind of have underworld. And then you have stars with all the planets up here, or like source, okay? Now talking about the Kabbalistic cross, so it's kind of like the Lord's Prayer. So, Our Father, thou art in heaven, heavens, the sky, all the planets, stuff like that. Thy kingdom come. So kingdom is another word for Malkuth, for the Hebrew for earth. So our Father who art in heaven, thy kingdom come, thy will be done as upon earth as it is upon heaven. Then we, on our right side with our right hand, give us this day our daily bread. So we're asking for sustenance and compassion. Jupiter. And forgive us and we forgive those who trespass against us. So now we're coming into Mars and the warrior and judgment, like what we could do about that. But we're asking for forgiveness and for our enemies, so it's justice, okay? And deliver us not in temptation, deliver us from evil, amen. And so at the end of this, I'll also sometimes put my hands together and say, and vibrate soul at the very end for sun. That's not necessary. So instead of doing all that, we don't do the Christian prayer, but we do vibrate Uranus, Sol, Terra, or just Uranus and Terra, then Jupiter and Mars for the Kabbalistic cross. And then at the end, I'll do Sol, so just Uranus, Terra, Jupiter, Mars, and at the end I'll vibrate Sol and have my hands together, sort of like this, which is what I'm going to get into the next video about the solar mysteries. So I hope I explained that well. Those are all the planetary names we use instead of the Hebrew names. So Uranus, Pluto, Sol, Luna, Terra, Jupiter, Mars, okay? Those are all the main god names that we use besides Mars and Venus for the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. I hope that made sense, and I'll